I just really want to be Annabeth Chase. Hello, my name is Camille and this is my Mark of Athena book talk. Okay, so this book was so intense. I actually read this book for the Booktubeathon 2014 and it was so good. It took me a long time to get through it because it is kind of a monstrous book, but it was so good. There's so much to talk about. But first, without spoilers, if you haven't read the series, please do. It's so good. This is probably my favorite book in the entire series, but I can't say much else because if you haven't read the rest of the series, you're not gonna really know what's happening here, so please go read the series, then come back and we'll talk about it. Shall we talk about the ending first? Oh man. Oh man. So, okay. I knew, first of all, I knew that they were going to go into Tartarus. Okay, so it was published in 2012, but it's 2014 right now. So I knew, naturally, if you go on Tumblr for about 5 seconds under the PJO tag, you know. I went to Tartarus sometime. I didn't know it was this book. But once she was with the spider and she was like, below us is Tartarus, it's like, oh, it's this one. Oh my gosh, even though I knew it was coming, I was still so emotionally distraught. When Jason and Piper flew away and then Leo was trying to get the Mark of Athena onto the ship and then Annabeth didn't cut the strings. And it was so sad because she was just so relieved to see Percy and just, it was so good. She was so relieved to see Percy that she just, like, her brain was just like, Percy. And then she fell to Tartarus, but he went down there with her. I feel like they are going to survive down there because they can't die. I feel like I would have seen a spoiler on Tumblr if they had died already. And I feel like Nico is gonna play a huge part in the next book. Something that I didn't really like about this book was Jason and Piper were pretty much useless. Jason was knocked out pretty much the entire time. And Piper was just like, my boyfriend, he's my boyfriend, Raina, get out, get away. Like, of the 7, they had absolutely no purpose. Like, I realized that Jason can fly, but like, that's it. Piper and Jason have cool abilities, but they were awful people. They're probably my least favorite characters. I'm even starting to like Frank a little bit more because he really helped out a lot. So the book opens with the two camps kind of colliding. Percy is made Proctor, and then Annabeth and the rest of the 7 that are at Camp Half-Blood come on the ship, and Leo is possessed and he shoots off a cannon into the no war zone and everyone freaks out, and I feel like this all could have been avoided if someone would have just said something, and if the Romans would have been a little bit more open to communication, because I feel like the Greeks are really, they'll talk about things, like Chiron and Mr. D, Dionysus, they will talk about things, they will kind of calmly assess the situation. Annabeth does that all the time. But no, the Romans are just like, boom, 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 let's just fight it out. We're gonna kill you, Greeks. It's so annoying. But then they each get on the ship and they manage to get away, and through this book they each kind of go on mini adventures in order to get to Rome to save Nico. One of my favorite parts in the beginning was when Annabeth and Percy first met after being separated, and she judo flipped them. Annabeth, my girl. The whole being possessed part of this book was a little bit confusing, I thought. I was a little bit confused on like the actual role that the possessed the possessing played, in the sense that I felt like it was a little bit underdeveloped at times. I just felt so bad for Leo this entire time when Narcissus said that he would be forever the seventh wheel, and it was just like, oh, I feel so bad, because it's true now that all the other 7 are like couples, not just even like best friends or like good friends. Nope, they're all couples. I was really happy with all the Percy and Annabeth chapters. They just made me so happy to see my 2 favorite characters again, and the Percy chapters really brought me back to when it was just Percy. It made me really happy. I loved Night in the Stables. It was so good. So many almost mini adventures happen in this book. I really liked the adventure with Hazel, like the girls' adventure when they went and had tea with Aphrodite. That was a good one. And she kind of insulted them, but also like kind of tried to give them advice, and Piper was kind of offended that her mom was spending so much time on Annabeth and Hazel, and it's like, well, you're my mom, like, you know. But when Percy became afraid of drowning, it was so scary, because that's like the one thing that he has, like his one element that was really like, this is Percy, the water, the sea, he feels so at home here, kind of thing. For him to be afraid of drowning was so scary, because he knew it was coming, and I didn't want that to happen to him, for him to like lose his security of the water, especially when so much was happening. When Leo did the hot stuff move and saved that water nymph and the mirror thing, that was so good. That was one of my favorite parts in the entire book. It was just so good, and I absolutely adored it. I thought it was really sweet how Percy stayed with Annabeth right up until the minute where she had to go on the quest alone. He really was just there for her, trying to support her before she went on this huge quest to find the Mark of Athena, which was so cool. That her mini like quest to go find the Mark of Athena was so interesting. All the different challenges that were just so Annabeth, and I loved them so much. But like, oh my gosh, the spiders were so creepy. All the mini spiders, and she faced her fear, and I was like, she had so much courage, and that was so admirable to watch, that she was just so herself, and that she like stopped, thought about her choices, and moved on, and that she tricked that stupid spider. And you know what's really creepy? Erican, the spider, how it had that the banner, the woven banner of her and Percy kissing underwater. It was so creepy. I feel bad for Annabeth, but I also kind of liked the Chinese trap idea. I feel like that Annabeth might have felt a little bit safer, a little bit more calm, knowing that Frank was kind of there with her, and that Frank and the 7 were there to support her and things like that. The Hercules scene, oh my gosh, that made me so angry. I was so mad. Because Hercules is always looked upon as like, I love Hercules, the myth. The Disney movie is one of my favorite Disney movies ever. Like, that is my favorite Disney movie. Hercules and Meg are forever. And so seeing him in a new light like that was really interesting for me. When Leo and Hazel did the flashback and they found out about Sammy being Leo's grandfather, I was just so touched, and I thought it was so interesting in the way that Rick kind of like weaved that in, like part of Hazel's past coming back to greet her. And I still think that Hazel and Frank are better, because also that's kind of weird, because if Hazel and Leo got together, that'd just be weird. But I still thought it was really sweet and a really nice touch. So that is it for my review for the Mark of Athena. This is definitely my favorite book of the Here's the Olympus series so far. I really liked having the 7 all together. It was really nice. I give this book probably 4.5 out of 5 stars. It is so good. Let me know your thoughts down below. Give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye!